welcome y'all to Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. Hey y'all, my name is Nick and I travel across North America in search of famous graves and dark history locations. Today I'm going to give you a tour of the estate, but most importantly, visit his final resting place and the room he died in. One thing that stands out immediately about Monticello is how peaceful it feels here, and you almost forget like how much history actually happened on this property. Thomas Jefferson, just like George Washington or John Adams or Alexander Hamilton, they're just one of those guys who stops feeling real or like human after a while because they get so big into our history books and the stories about them. But you know, at the end of the day, you got to realize he was a normal human being living in not a normal house, but you know, I guess normal somewhat for back in the time. But walking around Monticello kind of changes that. Suddenly this doesn't just feel like history anymore. It feels like someone's actual home. This is so cool to be walking up these steps. It's beautiful. This must have been just beautiful to sit out here working on his things or whatever. And so he can walk right out and see everything. One thing I'm loving about Monticello is you can really feel how much of Thomas Jefferson's personality went into this house and this property. And you begin to realize this wasn't just, you know, a piece of land. This was his whole world. Man, there's just no denying that everywhere you look here, there's another detail of Thomas Jefferson. I mean, there's the architecture, there's the gardens, the views from the hilltop. Everything here feels almost intentional. Alrighty, at this point in the video, we are going to head into Thomas Jefferson's Monticello inside. Biggest rule, there is no filming allowed, only photos. So I'm going to show you photos of each room. We'll go through and tell a little bit about what's going on here, and then we'll make our way to his bedroom where he died. To make it more interesting, I will probably add some accent that just comes off the top of my head, so let's go with that. The first room we go in is known as the entry hall or the trophy room. This was the first space guests stepped into, and Jefferson made sure it set the tone immediately. The walls were lined with artifacts from his travels, Native American items, animal bones, and scientific specimens. It wasn't just decoration, it was a display of curiosity, power, and control over knowledge. In many ways, it functioned like the personal museum of the American frontier. As we make our way down the hall, we move deeper into the home. This hallway shifted from public display to something more personal. Portraits of his daughters and family members line the space, reminding visitors that beneath the political figure was a private man shaped by loss and legacy. This was my all-time favorite room in the house. It is Jefferson's private cabinet or his study. This was Jefferson's true workspace and where he withdrew from public life to think, write, and design. Here he worked on letters, architectural plans, and political ideas that would shape early America. The room feels smaller, quieter, also separated from the grandeur of the rest of the house. It's where the public figure disappears and the thinker takes over. And this is probably one of the most powerful parts of visiting Monticello. This is the room and the bed where Thomas Jefferson died in 1826. Standing here makes history feel much more real. Because this suddenly stops feeling like a textbook figure, it starts feeling human. And Thomas Jefferson's bedroom was modest compared to the rest of the home, reflecting a man who lived more in ideas than in comfort. The next room we come to is the parlor or the drawing room. This room was designed for conversation, hospitality, and controlled social interaction. Jefferson would meet guests here discussing politics, philosophy, and science in a carefully curated environment. The space reflects enlightenment, ideals, order, symmetry, and intellectual refinement, but it also shows how carefully Jefferson managed what others were allowed to see of him. Next, we have the dining room, and this was one of the most strategic spaces in the entire house. Jefferson used meals as a form of diplomacy, inviting guests to discuss politics in a relaxed but influential setting. Food, conversation, and persuasion all blended together here. Even something as simple as dinner became part of shaping a young nation. Jefferson spent his final years here at Monticello dealing with declining health and major financial problems. His last documented actions involved asking if it was the 4th, and eventually, on July 4th, 1826, he died here at home. So here's the eerie coincidence. Thomas Jefferson died at 12:50 p.m. John Adams passed away later that afternoon, the same day, famously saying, "Thomas Jefferson still survives." However, he was unaware he had already passed. Craziest thing out of all this, they both died exactly 50 years after the Declaration of Independence. It was interesting to find out on the tour that very quickly Jefferson's father owned all this property, and he grew up just at the bottom of this mountain, hilltop. And you know, he would always ride up here and read books with his friends up here, and he said, someday when I'm old enough to build a house, I'm going to build on the top of here. So eventually, Thomas Jefferson does start to build a house up here. His father dies, he inherits all the enslaved people, and it takes them about a year to clear this entire mountaintop. So like, yeah, it's clear today, but I mean, this is all just trees and woods, and it took them about 1 year to clear all this, and then they would begin building this house. And it's been through so many variations, and yeah, the stories just go on and on. You can only see so much in the camera, but like the views, here when you look at this, the mountains ahead go for miles and miles and miles, and it's very understandable why he wanted his home up here. So this is the South Pavilion, and this was the first brick structure, first building on the mountaintop. His outchamber erected in 1770. Let's go take a look.
Or we can even catch the shuttle.
Oh, it's a big step. Well, we've seen about all we can see of the house. Now we're going to head behind me to Mulberry Row. This is the smokehouse. Let's see how it is compared to Washington's smokehouse. Wow, look at this. Goes like all the way through. So I'm currently on Mulberry Row, where it said at any given time, over 40 men, women, children, all enslaved to Jefferson, lived and worked here on this very row. But it is the path to the final resting place of Thomas Jefferson. Now, so that's where we are going to head next. They talked about this on the tour when I was inside. The Levy family from New York. They are the ones who bought the Monticello house and property. And partly it's thanks to them that we can still tour this today. Wow, I didn't actually expect her to be buried here. Rachel Phillips Levy. Looks like we are heading very much downhill, which my plan is to walk. We take the shuttle when you come up, and because it's all, up a mountain side, but you can walk down the path. So that is my plan. I'm going to walk basically down the entire side. I think it's close to a mile, but like all in. So keep on heading down. We've reached this cemetery where Thomas Jefferson's buried, but I didn't know this. I guess you're not allowed in. There's a walk there, walk on that gate, and guess we can just see Jefferson's grave from outside this gate. But yeah, it's a full-blown cemetery. Randolph. Actually, I think what they said on the tour, this is the Jefferson Randolph Cemetery, so that would make sense why all the Randolphs are here. Okay, let's see. This graveyard plot is the private property of Thomas Jefferson's descendants. And here he is. What surprises me most is how simple it feels, especially compared to how enormous Jefferson's impact on American history was. There's something strangely emotional about seeing how quiet this place is. A peaceful hillside at the home he spent so much of his life building. Okay, now if you look center of your screen, I learned this on the tour that I didn't know, but when Thomas Jefferson died, he wrote down on paper in his will what he wanted on his marker, his tombstone, what he wanted America to remember him by. Number 1, author of the Declaration of American Independence. 2, of the Statue of Virginia. And 3, for religious freedom, and father of the University of Virginia. Right there, all the stuff he did, and those are the 3 things he wanted to be remembered by. Pretty cool. If this is your first time visiting my channel, and you enjoy famous graves such as this, I hope you check out my channel as a whole, because that's basically what I do. I go to famous graves and dark history locations. So if you've been around for a while and you know me, long time subscribers, this is like a big moment for me. I'm such a fan of the Revolution, and Thomas Jefferson and famous graves like this, and to be here is just so cool and just amazing. But like I said, if it's your first time here, I encourage you to check out my famous graves playlist as well as my channel as a whole. This is really cool. The chart below shows the location of the burials in the front of the graveyard. So Thomas Jefferson is number 6, and he's directly in the middle. Not surprised. Directly in the middle, underneath. His wife, Martha Wales Jefferson, is number 7, directly to his right. Maria Jefferson, 5, his daughter. Thomas Mann Randolph, his son-in-law, is number 8 above him. And number 4, Martha Jefferson Randolph, his other daughter. All together right there. And so we begin from brick to dirt. That's, if you're not too careful, you will slide. Oh, let's do it. I'm so glad they have this option that you could walk. Technically, you could walk up if you wanted to, but I'm just being here soaking it all in because this is what Jefferson did. I remember reading a book on Jefferson, and it said as soon as he got married to Martha, for their honeymoon, they went up here to his home, and it was a snowstorm like crazy, and they had such a hard time getting up, this mountain. And just to be walking these same woods, same paths somewhat, is so cool. And look at that, we made it. Honestly, that wasn't bad at all. Really, like, not bad at all. That took me maybe 5 minutes. So definitely do that if you're coming to Monticello. I think what makes places like Monticello so fascinating isn't just the history itself. It's the atmosphere, the feeling of standing somewhere where so much history actually happened. Visiting places like this changes how you think about people like Thomas Jefferson, because suddenly they stop feeling distant. You realize they were actual people with homes, routines, struggles, and the final moments just like anybody else. And that's probably what I'll remember most about visiting Monticello. Not just the history, but how personal everything feels when you're actually here. All right, y'all, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Signing off from Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. This was a bucket list item checked off for me for sure. If you wanna see more videos like this, more museum historical location tours, check out my museums playlist. Also, there's Famous Graves playlist, Dark History playlist. If you are interested in becoming a channel member and joining our Beyond the Grave community behind the scenes, YouTube makes it very easy. Go to my channel, click join, and you'll get behind the scenes access to stuff I don't share publicly. So, that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.